Okay, so welcome everyone to the sprint demo for Sprint 2020-33. So let's start with some overview of what we did in this sprint and then have the demos of some of the features. So in this sprint, we have revived the organized sources feature that we had in Nintendo 2, but now it's working again, this time for the model compiler, and actually also, I think, a bit better than it worked before. So we will see a demo of that. We also did a number of C++11 related improvements to override. So, for example, we generate now the override keyword for functions that override virtual target RTist functions, so that you avoid warnings about that when you're compiling your code. And that should also make you aware here that because of this change, it's not now necessary to have a C++ compiler, 11 compiler, when compiling generated code. I think you all had that before also, but just to emphasize here that previously it was possible to compile with an older compiler. Now it is required to have a C++11 compiler. There were also some other related improvements in the user interface. For example, when you are overriding an operation, the override property is now automatically set up, so you don't have to do it manually. And there is also a dialog that pops up in case you're attempting to override an operation marked as final. We did a number of improvements in the properties view. For example, there are now context-sensitive help that explains almost all properties in the model, in particular those properties that affect code generation, so you can understand what they do. And there were many usability improvements and, in general, cleanup of many of the property pages where we, for example, removed some duplicate properties and disabled some properties that are not always applicable, and so on. In the model debugger area, we fixed an important bug that we was able to reproduce. It was related to having models with redefined capture parts. In that case, the tracing missed some events. So now that has been fixed. Then we have introduced a new preference that you can set if you would like to utilize C data when you store your models. So C data in the XML files make code snippets and documentation, etc. much more readable. And there is also a model fix-up available if you would like to adopt this globally throughout your organization, so you can upgrade multiple models at the same time to use C data. You've already seen previews and demos from before, when we had an experimental feature about TC visualization. Now this feature is non-experimental, and we did some additional improvements in this sprint that we will demo. There is also a model compiler console that I don't think has been demoed, that we will show what it is and what you can use it for. And last but not least, there are many usability improvements in the TC editor's code tab. So if you would like to edit TCs textually, you can benefit from content assist, mark occurrences, etc. And there is also a video recorded in this sprint about how to resolve merge conflicts. So now that the TC visualization feature is non-experimental, we actually don't have any experimental features at the moment in the tool. And the deliveries, we have a new update of version 11, 2020-33, of course, same Eclipse version as before. And there were no changes in the older release streams. There is also a new version of the model fix-up for version 11 for this C data conversion. So any questions before we jump into the demos?